Okay, good morning everyone. Shavua Tov. It should be a Shavua Tov, B'ezrat Hashem. Actually, remind me at the end of Shir, when we turn this off, to tell you something very important. But just a few important announcements. So first of all, Baruch Hashem, we continue to learn the whole month of Shvat, sponsored by the Jerome family in memory of David's grandmother, and also the Pollock family in memory of Moshe's grandparents and Joni's sister Shira, as well as for the Eagle family in honor of the Eagle birthdays. Everyone should feel well in the Eagle household, B'ezrat Hashem. Anonymously for Kilat Shir David, and specifically this week is sponsored. Today's Shir, or this week, I think this week is sponsored by Bini and Nachama Kohn in honor of Bini's father's 70th birthday, and all the brachas to him with Besoros Tovos for long years and continued nachas from his whole family. I remember Tuesday night this week, and we're going to send out the announcement today. Rav Shalom Arush is going to be coming, and I'll be translating in English. I've been getting a lot of questions, so I'll be translating to the best of my ability this Tuesday night in our shul. It's, again, I should say, I don't want to ever meet the yid that says, I'm good with chizuk, I don't need, we're good, we're set up. So that's this Tuesday night. And also, Baruch Hashem, this is like thrilling for me. Mamash matnas chinam. Monday night, February 27th. I think that's what it is. Monday night, February 27th. 2 weeks from tomorrow night, Rav Yitzchak Ginsburg is coming to the shul in English. Now, I have no words. Whatever I say won't conclude. Rav Ginsburg, who needs a big refuah shlema, is going to come in. That's going to be in English. And even if you'll see that when at his shiurim, there's someone that's live transcribing every word he says. It's on a huge screen right behind him. So because you have to be there, it's very rare for someone to sit there, whatever language they're native in, whatever language he's talking in, that you could really follow. We're talking about one of the greatest giants, not just of this generation. And I'm not saying it lightly. Not just of this generation. So that's Zayin Adar. Zayin Adar, Monday night, February 27th. Purim is right around the corner. Also, it's refuah shlema for Itamar's niece, Tal Rivka Bas Sylvia. She needs a refuah shlema. We just daven for Be'ezrat Hashem Iskablu Tfiloseinu. Okay, please open up in page Chav Bet in the Sefer. Here. Okay. Does everyone have the Sefer? We ordered plenty, yeah? Take. Okay. So in this beautiful Hagdama we've been doing till now is he was talking so much about an important yesod of just living with the times is the need to visualize the beauty of the times, to visualize the beauty of what was, and to visualize the beauty of what will be. But what's missing in there? To visualize the beauty of what is. And that's obviously, like, as much as we can be pulled, we can be connected to what was, and obviously we're davening, our children are davening what will be. Obviously the beauty of what is redemption in the moment. That's what we want so badly, to be in the moment over here. And in the beginning of Kumi Ori, this beautiful sefer where Rav Sasson has been showing us is like, don't be so hard on yourself as to why it's so hard to visualize the beauty of the moment. He says that's a result of 2,000 years of galut, of exile. In exile, no one visualized anything. They didn't want to visualize the moment. Who would want to visualize the moment? The moment is someone standing over me, whipping me. The moment is broken promises by Hashem, so to speak, right? So he says that plays a tool, but the avoda, it means the avoda is so much more right now on us to somehow tap into this and be people that are living like the Bnei Machshava Tova says in the Hagdama over there. He says our job is not to be comparing ourselves to anyone else. But it's to see that we're living just a bit above the way that the rest of the world is looking at the concept called being alive. Just a bit more or less. It's a very loose translation of what he said. It's just like a bit above the way the rest of the world considers being alive and looks like they're alive, right? So this lineage of chiyus, this lineage of being alive. So he's going to say something beautiful here. Actually, we're on page Chav Gimel. Okay, it's on the other side of the page, Chav Gimel. And I'm going to repeat the last paragraph that we did, and then we'll see, perhaps we'll finish this wonderful first chapter today. He says like this, and this is a word we got caught on before, Am Yisrael avar mi'ut atzum b'galut. We've gone through this tremendous smallness or contraction. There are a lot of different words we're using. Kol tzirei hagadlut nimcheku meitanu meshach k'alpayim shana. You know, when we say, like, wow, what used to be, the way we used to be as people in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, you know, again, over time, the imagery was lost, right? And it's a very, very difficult thing to really, really feel real and authentic with our request for Sheibane Beit HaMikdash. Because what does that really mean? L'ma'aseh, what does that really, really mean? And if I'm still focusing on the beauty of on the visualization of what was and what will be, I need to see the beauty and the visualization of it, of now, to really bring home these components, to paint a picture of being someone that's living a life of hopefully geula pumping inside of me, really, really, really strong. Mashu echrechi, but over 2,000 years, those visions, those visuals left me. Ka'et anu noldim michadash, and we're now being created anew. We're being born from new. Ach b'shonem oto hayeled, שיש בתוך מרחב חייו מציאות ממשית של גדלות שמהווה עבורו מודע לחיקוי, לעם ישראל אין ציור כזה. He said to us last week, a little kid that grows up in the midst of greatness, of someone great in their midst, someone that they could say, oh my God, wow. I have someone that seems to me to be like the recipe, like something cooking in him. This is where I'm gonna, he says, we're like a little kid that is being born and we don't have that image in front of us of being like, wow, I want to be like him, right? אנו מתחילים את פסיעתנו אל שלמות קומתנו בלי שאנו יכולים להביט על חיי מבוגרים ועולמם העמוק והעשיר. Are there any responsible adults around? Right? Is there anyone around me that I'm like, I say, this is it. Like, this is what was and this is what will be, and he's right in front of me and I want to go for this, right? Are there any responsible looking adults around that they place within me this calm of like, yes, this is the blueprint. He's saying, really, as a nation coming back after all these years, we don't really have that. Yes, there are individuals, don't get me wrong, in every door, of course. We have the Reb Moshe Feinstein, the Kloisenberger Rebbe. We have some, some greats. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something way, way beyond even an individual. It's a reality. It's a reality is what we're referring to. לכן אופק המבט שלנו אינו מסוגל לצייר את השלבים הבאים. Therefore, our field of vision is not capable of illustrating what we're really longing for. That's what we learned last time. So now jump to the bottom paragraph. כשאדם רואה את העתיד הגדול המזומן לו, אף שיודע שיש מרחק רב בינו ובין אותו העתיד, יש לו בהירות האמונה. יש לו דרך סלולה, והוא יכול להתחיל לצעוד לקראתו. This is so beautiful. Rav Sasson says that when a person sees the great future that's waiting for him or her, even though I understand there's a tremendous distance between where I am now and what's being shown to me, there's a tremendous distance, but I could see it. יש לו בהירות ve'emunah, that you have clarity and you have emunah, because you could see it. Yesh lo derech slula, he says, I have a paved path in front of me. And what could I do once there's a path? הוא יכול להתחיל לצעוד לקראתו. I could start marching on it. Frankly, all the years we were learning Bilvavi Mishkan Evne was to form a path of what is our Avodat Hashem. What is it we're trying to do with being engaged in the world of Torah and mitzvahs? It's literally to create a yellow brick road and to follow it. Right? Mamash. And actually saying, oh, it's a Mishkan. Evne, I'm building. There's a format here. I can walk on this. I can go on it. I feel like I have a way. That's what people always, it's like, we've talked about this so many times. People's like real yearners, like what they really want inside is like, I want to feel like I have a derech. I want to feel like I have a way. I want to have a way. So the Rav Sasson is saying over here, when a person feels they have a way and they see the destination, there's some kind of visual, even if they also tell them, Waze tells them, it'll take you 380 years to get here, it's okay. Because I know that my being in this world and my actions are on the path leading to that place. And I could do it. I have a goal, I could do it.
Like climbing a ladder, right? If you know that the ladder is on the right scale, so even if you're way in the bottom and the building's really high, you'll still, because you see.
Nachon.
But if you're just climbing a ladder and you don't know where it's going to.
I would say though, people that have fear of heights may not like that. I'm saying that's why I'm saying, like he's saying also a path. Like it's just, you'll keep. Don't worry, you're not going to fall. You're just going to keep on walking. The derech slulelo. Ach, third line. Kshehaatid nimchak. But when the future is erased, Shoshana just came back from a place where the future was erased. You go to Treblinka. It's not exactly like, no, it wasn't a I just have to clear my field of vision. That's, by the way, why the Krakow niggun is such a deep niggun. Itamai's favorite niggun. Did I die, right? Because Rav Shlomo said he was there in Majdanek, in Auschwitz, and then he went to the Ramoshu, and the whole vision he had of, there was the people going into gas chambers. But then on the other side was going into Yerushalayim Shel Mala. That's why a niggun can actually create a vision for you that normally you can't really have. Like what is it that people, what is going on? People are swaying. There's no words, but there's such dveikus. Really, and there's Sfarim written on this, it's the formation of an atid, of a future, right? And bringing that atid into the hoveh. Bringing the future into the present. That's what happens to a person when be'emet, they're in the niggun. They're in it. That's why, again, remind me to tell you something at the end. Ach kshe'atid nimchak, but I don't have a niggun anymore. There is no future. The visualization, I don't have it in front of me. V'chol ma shenikar hu tmunat ha'hoveh. And all that I see in front of me is what is right now. And what is right now, for some reason, does not really awaken anything in me that makes me feel like, wow, this is what I was waiting for. Bli efsharut letzayer be'ofen mamashi shum dargat chaim me'ever lema shemutza b'hoveh. That means I'm incapable of creating any more of a beautiful picture than what's in front of me. And again, what's in front of me is a state of galut. Now, I just want to emphasize something. Galut, you could be in a state of galut going up to Har HaBayit. It has nothing to do with the physical location. You could be in a state of galut building the state of Israel. It could be a state of galut. Be very clear. We can't confuse ourselves. That has to be very clear to us, as we see, as we're living in, right? When that happens, and I can't see it. All I see is what's in front of me, and I think that what's in front of me is here to stay. This is the end of this page. All the concealed dreams, they get pushed down even more into concealment, more into the depth, further and further and further away from my consciousness. Next page. Chavdalid, nidmin kedavar talush umeruchak me'ametziut. They seem like something that's, you know what talush means? Plucked. nitlash. They seem like those hayinu kecholmim, literally hayinu kecholmim, right? They seem like, again, I wonder if I would interview my great-grandmother a second before her daughter, my grandmother, jumped off the train on the way to Auschwitz, and I would say to her, I don't, it's so sick, it's sad, I don't even know her name. No, slicha, Batya, I don't know her mother's name, or her sister's names. My great-great-grandmother, her name was Batya. My sister Tali Batya, Chaya Bat Batya was my grandmother. Ask her, tell me something. Is this dream of like a happy ending somewhere? Like, is there anywhere in here? Is there anywhere in here right now in this moment? Nitlash, it's plucked. We experienced the whole thing as it's plucked. It's taken away, plucked from us. And far from reality, הפוטנציאל העלום שבנו, לא רק שהוא סובל מחסרון האמונה ביכולתו להתפתח, אלא הוא בכלל לא נכנס למרחב השיח והחלומות. הוא רחוק מאוד מאוד. He's saying something so beautiful here. I mean, heartbreakingly beautiful, but explaining to us really something. It'll explain ourselves in a very interesting way. He says, this potential of who we could be, it's not that like, I don't believe in it enough, and therefore it's hard. It's that it's not part of the conversation. It's not part of the conversation anymore. You hear the difference between the two? Not so much. I'll try to explain.
One you could work on, one you can't work on.
Nachon, why do I think I could work on something?
Well, if you're talking about it, it's in your knowledge. It's in your
Bidiyuk. So if I'm speaking about something, it's part of like what I think is part of the siach. It probably means that I believe it's possible for the real me, the dreams that Hashem has for me, to actually, be part of my reality. But when it's not even part of the conversation, then I say, then these things get pushed so far away that I don't even see it. It's not that I don't believe it could happen. It's not on the radar. It's not on the radar anymore.
Well, that's a sense of hopelessness.
Yeah, legamre. Sorry?
It's like
It's what's Bemet, right, what's like not clinical depression, but what's like depression that many of us fall into? It's not part of the a better reality is not part of the conversation. What I have in front of me will be here forever. That's it. He says, this is what happened to the real dreams of who we could be as Am Yisrael. And he's not saying this, but we could kind of say it, and it's not entirely our fault. And that's important.
I think it's beyond depression, because I think depression comes from you trying and not succeeding and you feel bad about it. And this is like, you can't even try because it's not even part of the conversation. It's like beyond
Right.
it even.
Right. Jenny?
I mean, I'm not sure if this is, I'm assuming it's relevant on a national level or a communal level, like davening Friday night. It was so hard. You know what I mean? And it's so hard to look at everyone dancing and singing, and I'm hoping that's what's going through everyone's head. That, if I conceal these dreams, like all the Hakar Tov I have for Hashem, and don't sing because we're mourning, then it's being pushed further from our consciousness. Is that an appropriate thought? Because I had a really, really hard time at Shul. Like, she's trying to grab me and make me dance.
But
And I
you
was like,
left
"You
before-
sure?" She's like, yes. I'm like,
But
I
Jenny,
wanna
you
go
left
try
before
for
Rav Shlomo spoke.
you
You
know?
left before Rav Shlomo spoke.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Let me tell
No,
you.
that's
Felt
fine.
like she didn't hear what you said.
I had
So that was the.
I left soup on, it was like almost on high.
She had
So-
something, she couldn't even do that probably.
Okay, but is that relevant for on an individual and a communal level? Because I feel like we just keep having
Is what relevant?
this whole
A contradiction?
It's not a contradiction. This whole like the method that like our dreams, if we're not even in the worst moments, if we're not
Do you know what's kept so many Yidden going for all these years? It's a very interesting thing. Like, what has actually kept us going for all these years? It's the fact that because I'm in so much pain and I still believe, it brings me a dot that it actually is going to happen. because I'm in such pain, and because I still believe, it actually fills me with the knowledge. It's not just an emunah, it's a yediyah, it's a da'at, that it actually will happen, but it's only because I feel so much. It's only because I let that in so much. That's what we were kind of saying Friday night, where, in a nutshell, I basically just asked everyone how they have the chutzpah to be singing and dancing right now, including myself.
But I'm assuming this is answering the question here.
Not yet. The whole Sefer is going to answer that question, really, but it's going to, in a productive way, right? Now, just for those of you that are a little startled of that question, how do you have the chutzpah is basically explaining ourselves to ourselves, is that we have the chutzpah to dance and daven is because we're so broken. And then I get so happy that I'm a person that is so in touch with my emotions and I can dance with that. But if I'm just detached, and it's like, Shabbos is here, it's time to dance, I don't know what your visual is. It's not the vision of 2,000 years of Am Yisrael, and then continuing to come towards the glory. But this whole Sefer, basically, is explaining us to us. That's the beauty of this Sefer. It's explaining us to understand our psyche, and to understand what's going on deep down inside, and then to choose to press the mute on certain chapters, or to lahefech, to turn up the volume on other areas. That's what we're busy doing here, right? But let's leave it to him, because it's just the beginning shlav, okay? So he's saying again, to not be able to even talk about these things. I remember one time when in an apartment I was living in Yerushalayim with a few roommates. Right when you walked into the apartment, there was a picture of the Rebbe. So one of the roommates, his uncle came to visit, and he was eating a Shabbos meal by us, and he said to us, "What, you guys believe the Rebbe is Mashiach?" So I didn't want to start the whole conversation. I just wanted to test to see where he's going with this. All it was a picture of the Rebbe. There was no proclamation. There's this picture of the Rebbe in the room. Every Jewish home should have a picture of someone that loved and every single Yid in the world and had believed in the good of everything. What's the problem, right? So I said to him, Uncle so-and-so, you don't think the Rebbe could be Mashiach? I was just messing with him, right? I didn't want to even go there. I just wanted to... So he said, frankly, I really doubt if I even believe that there is something that's called Mashiach. Someone that's a religious, observing Jew, right? It's because, is it his fault? Be'emet. Let's really be real right now. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. And those that look at people like that and have kindness on them, this and that, you could say something to them while you're looking up to Shmaya and say, how much longer? Ad matai? How much longer is it going to be such a power, such a distance between these visions and the inability to really make that part of our conversations? It's not his fault. It's not. And this is a weakness. This is a weakness that is in the klal, and we're Be'ezer Hashem, at least we're opening our eyes to the fact this is a very, very inherent weakness that is not, again, I repeat this all the time, it's not entirely our fault. We didn't exactly exile ourselves out of Eretz Yisrael. Okay, our actions did v'chulei. I don't even know what that means, But this is but trust me, if God is God, He's big enough to hear us say that. You understand? It's not like a lack of yira talking like this. It's a lack of yira to not even bring this into the conversation. It has to be part of the conversation, right?
Maybe it is, but I'm saying, how am I saying whose fault it isn't?
Because it removes sinas chinam on other Jews. It removes judgment on other Jewish people. Because if I look at someone and I say, God, this guy, look at, then I have a judgment on the person and saying, could you believe? Look how low this Jew has reached. But when I say, look, it's not, it's not, if I feel in my heart that this person's just trying to navigate through this crazy world to the best of their ability, where there's been a lack of revealed Beis HaMikdash type of hashgacha for thousands of years, my heart opens more to that person, no? I remove the judgment, which hopefully is part of this process of Geulah. That's what I meant. If that wasn't clear, that's what I meant by saying that. Okay. Now, he says, and even more so, like what we're dealing with the difficulty of seeing the visualization of the beauty of now. Look what he says. El chulsha zo, to this weakness of this talk being part of our mundane conversations, mitztarfim gam kshayei haoveh, hamashberim va'etgarim. Forget about like visualizations of Beis HaMikdash being hard. What about day-to-day life of today? Or is everyone just having a smooth ride this Gilgul? Just today, simple. Akol b'seder. Just today, just getting through the etgarim of today, the challenges of today. He says, sherak machlishin et halev. They weaken the heart miletzapot lemashu gadol yoter mima shekayam bahoveh. What a sentence. It weakens the heart from longing and hoping and expecting, letzapot, to see something greater than what is right now. Zot lamrot shebe'emet hamashbirim halalu beshorsham hem mishbere gadlut ומקורם באותה הבקשה המייחלת להתחדשות החיים בקומות עליונות יותר, even though the root of all of our any real crisis we have in this world, in the root of it, it's not about the hardship of day to day. In the root of it, it's hardship that stems from, you ever see, did any of you grow up on Safan? Yeah? You grew up conservative. No, it wasn't in the. No, I'll tell you, it wasn't in the from circles at all. That music. Safam, my Abba brought it into beautiful music. Yeah, they have a song called "Looking for a Brighter Day." A great, and it goes through mamash. What he's saying over here, 2,000 years of through the darkness, something like this, like going through this and saying, and we're still here looking for a brighter day. So he's saying in its root, really, any crisis we go through, in its root, it really is kashur somehow to looking for a brighter day. Okay, I'll send the link if you'd like. It's a very deep song. It's a very deep, very deep song. It'll bring you back to like 1985, like instantly. Really good stuff. Third line, fourth line. Kmo yeled sheba lebagruto. Like a kid that comes to a later stage of development, right? The next stage of development in their life. B'klal eno yodea sheyesh musag shenikra chatuna. And he doesn't know, he's not aware that there's even a concept that's called a wedding, that you build a life with someone. It's not part of, no one ever told them that. Or they never saw it. They never saw it. And I think that's kind of what we're at when in terms of like the wedding being the wedding, the day that Mashiach comes, right? The wedding. Oto adam amlu limtso et atzmo shavur umerukan. You can find yourself being so broken, so gamur. Merukan means empty. Litroken, to be completely empty. Yavo anashim meluradim המתבוננים רק בצד החיצוני ויאמרו לו, השבר הזה מבטא את חוסר המוכנות שלו עדיין לחתונה. Outside people, or what we say, like Adina, very good what you said before, judgmental people will look at a person like this and say, your actions show us that you're simply not ready to get married. The person standing there is like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know what a wedding is. Do you understand the analogy here? Don't look at someone that doesn't know how to talk like this and be like, they're just not ready for Geula. They don't even know there's a concept called Geula, or their heart hasn't allowed them. It's become so weakened that their heart hasn't allowed them to really tune into this thing called redemption. Aval be'emet mekor shivro. So the source of a person like this, pain and brokenness, hu dafka hatzorech ha'amok bibniat bayit u'ba'ashlamat chayav. This person that seems like they're not ready for a wedding, and they say, I don't even know what a wedding is, all the more so do they really want to believe that it's possible for them to one day build their own home, to build a life with someone and to complete their life. Ela, if you sat that person down and said to them, tell me what you're looking for. She sits with the Shatchanis, and she says, tell me what you're looking for. he has nothing to write on that piece of paper. Like he says here, אלא שאינו יודע לצייר את העתיד בצורה הנכונה. He doesn't know what to write. He doesn't know how to write it in a good way. He has no idea what to write on that piece of paper. כך, גם משברי הדור שלנו אינם מעידים על הריחוק מהקודש העליון. The real brokenness of this generation does not give testimony to the fact that we're so far from supreme holiness. אלא אדרבה, on the contrary. It actually shows that we're gasping for air. The crisis is showing we're actually gasping, we're admitting that what we thought was air, what we thought was real life, isn't providing me with the oxygen that I need. And that's why you have more anxiety and stress today than ever before, in any generation, ever. He's saying that's actually a siman of like something about to pop, like a bubble about to burst. It's painful, but it's actually a very good illusion that's going to burst. That this is considered real life and real living. וכשחסר אוויר, האדם משתגע ואינו יכול להמשיך במנהגו. Now, when you don't have air, you could lose your mind. He's saying this is what's happening on the cloud, right?
It's like a huge tana towards the Kadosh Baruch Hu.
It's a huge.
Tana.
Hold on to it. Hold on to it. I know it's not the way we're taught. We're allowed to speak, but
Maybe this is the way you need to be speaking, because that's how you're
let me ask you. Let me ask you a question. When we were in Egypt, right? And how did the Geula begin? But what did that mean? What does that mean based on this? No, but what does that mean about them back then? Because we don't think about it like this. Could it be that maybe one of them had a holy taina on Hashem, saying Ad Matai, and when they finally did, God said, boom, I've been waiting for you to ask that question.
So sure, it means it could be any second. It's just a matter of like,
Yeah. Welcome to the world of the Lubavitcher Rebbe's, like, everything, meaning, exactly. What you're saying is, it's like when every Jew would come to the real realization, like, oh, that means it could happen any second when someone actually, like, lets out this kind of krecht. Yeah. Now, since we don't know who it is, and at what moment, you got to treat every moment like it really could be, but that's already, this becomes a more, this will become more the norm of how we live our lives once the siach, once the talk between ourselves, this becomes more normal talk and not cuckoo talk. I'll say something interesting. I got a message late last night, or maybe it was early this morning, from a different Rav here in Efrat. And he meant well, I bet he did. But he's basically saying, why should it be that only here, the people, only here the davening is the way it is? Can you come to our shul and lead a davening Friday night? I'm not gonna say who. I'm not gonna say who. But it's not about a person going and being a chazan somewhere. It's not, and I'm gonna talk to him about this. It's not about that. It's the siach. It's the conversation of everything leading up to the davening. It's not the davening, the concert. It's not it. It's the conversation and the consciousness that happens in between the tefillas. To explain that is a very hard thing as well. It's not a simple thing to do.
They always speak about music, like last week, music can awaken that, and can elevate it. It's a nice place to start.
Yeah, but what's the hemshech? What's the hemshech?
Well, okay, it doesn't end there.
I know, but you have to also choose your kochos too, meaning it's not such a simple thing. But again, like, it has to be part of the conversation. That's what we keep on saying. It's got to be part of more and more the part of the siach, because the more you talk about it, the more you believe in it. He'emanti ki adaber, David HaMelech says, which really, this is a basic tenet of the Bilvavi, and also over here as well. But he's saying, you weren't able to talk about it for so long because it was impossible to see it. It was impossible to see it. Something shifted globally, and it has to do with, obviously, the wellsprings of Hasidus spreading across the world and infusing people with joy like never before, right? Having a Chabadnik and everywhere ready for you, anywhere, wherever you need. And of course, Am Yisrael beginning to come back home to Eretz Yisrael. It's all over the place. And now people are actually beginning to dare to talk about it and to kind of begin to see it. But he's going to clarify the vision for us in this Sefer of what it is, what that visual is, and drive it home now.
How do we understand those two things come together? The most depression and anxiety we've ever seen, and what you just said then. I mean, it's tricky.
It's very tricky.
Yeah.
It's very tricky, but I think all big things,
Start with
it's how it happens. Yeah.
Why
It doesn't it seems like it's contradicting, but it actually is part of a whole tnuah, a whole movement.
Oh, Jacobson says that it's like the idea of like the everything was like brushed under the carpet for a very long time, and we all thought it was like it's fine.
it's okay.
And now everything, it's like the wound, like the
Yeah.
dirt is coming all out, and so it feels very like, the world has gone crazy, but it actually like has to.
It's part of the healing
It's part of the healing process,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like, imagine if we're actually living in a reality where we really believe that the Beit HaMikdash is going to be here any moment, and then we start thinking about what are we going to have to be physically doing, mentally doing, emotionally doing, like what's the actual avoda going to be like? What can I be doing right now to be actively preparing for that? And if that's walking every day, if that's lifting weights, if that's meditating, like no matter what, you have to be physically fit to do
In
that.
this shia,
Sorry.
no, why sorry? I'm answering, I'm saying that's exactly what we're doing here. Okay? But let's hear, meaning everyone has ideas. What he's drawing down for us is showing us a shifting of consciousness, be'emet, that goes deep down inside. Doesn't take away from all the important things that everyone has to be doing in a more, an altered state of consciousness, physically and emotionally. But Pneumius-wise, as Torah Yidden, this is exactly what you're bringing up. Exactly what you're bringing up. I'm going to take a question. I just want to finish this chapter, and then if there's anything else to ask, I'm going to go for it, okay? Asher al ken. כדי שנוכל להתבונן באותה השלמות הגדולה, אליה אנו צועדים בתהליך הגאולה. In order for us to truly gaze in a deep, profound way towards this completed state of being, of who we could be and who we are, as we're marching towards the process of Geula, ראוי שנרגיל את עצמנו להתבונן אל שנים קדמוניות. We actually still have to really figure out what was going on back in the day. As much as we think we know, we don't really know. Like, what does it mean, the Shekhinah? What do these concepts mean? The Shekhinah was alive in the hills of Jerusalem in the time. What does this really mean? We're gonna learn deep down inside what was actually happening. Not just what was happening exteriorly, but also internally. What was actually happening? What was going on? למדרגת החיים של עם ישראל, to the level of life that Am Yisrael was living, בשעה שהיינו על אדמתנו, when we were living here. Now, how long ago was that? Thousands of years ago. And yet, our rich tradition, since we're Am HaSefer, people of the book, takes us into the heart and the lives of the typical Jew, that lived here in Eretz Yisrael, on this land. And that's what's so beautiful, that we're going to go there, we're going to see that. כאשר היה בית המקדש על מכונו, when the Beit HaMikdash was standing, מלכות ישראל בגבורתה, we had a king, his name happened to be Shlomo, והכהונה, והכהונה בסדרה ובקדושתה, and the kehuna, which was basically the most glorious form of educators. That's what it means, a kehuna, that they were the teachers. The most glorious form of giving over Masoret was in its place and in its holiness. Hamabat el shanim kadmoniyot, the glance to the years of old, יכול להרחיב לנו את מושגי החיים. They could expand to us what it means to be alive. What it means today to be alive. ולעזור לנו להבין שההווה צר מהכיל את כל גדולת הרוח והנשמה של האומה. And it'll help us understand that what we think it means to be alive today is nothing close to what it really means to be alive as a people. כי מדרגות אלו קיימות בקרבנו. These levels exist in our midst. They exist in us. ומעולם ועד עולם לא כבו מסתר מאבינו. Deep down inside, that candle was never fully put out. Deep down inside, מאבינו means our real wanting. Deep down inside, you could barely see the candle. It's barely there, mamash barely there, but it really, say, when you learn this stuff more in Chabad, it has to do with like the fact that I believe in Hashem. Here he's talking about expanding this concept and saying, what never really blew out? What never really, really blew out? What is he saying? Like in the pneumius of it, what never really fully got blown out is this belief and vision that tomorrow could be so much more beautiful than today. That I could be so much more alive than I am today. Haitraglut lemabat, if you plug this into marriage therapy, it's like, this is it. Like, that mamash, this is like a yesod, this is a foundation. Any type of deep relationship like that, there's a commitment, but it gets stuck because you cannot visualize anything more beautiful because I know that I know me, I know them, I know that, her, him, this is what it is. But he's saying in the pneumius of a yid, this vision is there. It is there. Emunah means that my belief that the level of life of Jewish people and of my personal life could be so much more exalted than what it is right now, it is there. Even though, again, the Poritz stood over me and my grandparents, my great-grandparents, the Poritz, the German, the Spaniard, doesn't matter who it is. One second, Jenny. Let's finish till the end, and any questions that come up, we'll take them. Still, lo mishane, it doesn't matter. Deep down inside, it never really, really blew it out. Haitraglut lemabat shekazeh, accustoming ourselves to actually look at life like a little bit more like what once was. And again, the level of life that I felt, the extent of being alive that I felt, יסייע לנו לצייר בצורה שונה את חיינו. It's going to help us draw our current state of life a little bit differently. This is like the mission statement for Airbnb. וממילא לפתוח את שערי הלב. And then what happens from this ability to draw a more beautiful present? My heart opens. This is the natural response to this way of living. My heart expands and opens. And that's really what it means to be alive. לציפייה, תפילה ועשייה, שיקדמו אותנו אל אותן המדרגות הנפלאות, הממתינות לנו אחר כותלנו. And then each of us becomes a real emesdika professional anticipator. ציפייה. And also, I become a real David HaMelech. My tefillah, the way I daven, is a different tefillah. Asiyah, the way that I'm like activated in this world, doesn't mean I start a new job. I do something different. It could be the same exact things we're doing. But the way we're doing it is so different. Because it's all basically bringing us closer, what he says, to this wondrous levels, which are waiting for us, this lashon of mamtin achar kotleinu from Shir HaShirim, from Shlomo HaMelech. This is what's waiting on the other side of the wall, so to speak. The wall of concealment, but then with mitzitz ben acharakim, but there's holes already that have been like, kind of like this is such a beautiful imagery. Every time my heart opens, what basically happens is that this mechitza that stands between me and the light keeps on getting shattered a little bit more, till Be'ezah Hashem we're going to take the whole wall down. כדי שנוכל באמת להבין עד כמה מצומצמת היא תמונת המצב בהווה ובעבר הקרוב והמוכר לנו, בעת שהיינו בגלות, in order to really understand how small and contracted our field of vision is due to what has been happening to us for so many years of exile, צריך להתבונן במיעוט העצום והגדול שהתמעטנו בגלות. What we need to do is something a little bit difficult and painful. We got to take a look at how small we became in Galut. How small we became. Now, what that means exactly, I'm going to leave it for the next chapter to explain to us. But you know, when you tell someone, the Zohar HaKadosh says something amazing. The Zohar HaKadosh says that Leil Seder is called a night of Mochin de Gadlut. That means expansive mindset. Basically, the way I understood it was that if you know someone could be a king, but they have simcha by becoming the greatest garbage collector, modern society says, well, good for him. No. You could be a king. What are you so besimcha that you excelled the art of collecting garbage? Galus made us feel, and you see this in modern society today too. Galus made us feel that we have to take, we have to like, basically make the vision of who we could become so small and so tiny, and be besimcha over being a schlepper. As long as it makes you happy, right? As long as it makes you happy. This is a little bit of the mi'ut of how small we've become. We're supposed to be kings. We're supposed to be prophets. And how do you say it in female? Queens and prophetesses? Prophetesses. Nevi'im and neviot. This is what we're supposed to be. Not a few chevra on top. All of us. You understand? We're all supposed to be b'neim and b'not melachim. We're supposed to be like in our real nature and who we really are. That's why I get so moved by like when once in a while I actually come in contact with someone who is not, they didn't induce themselves with anything to think like this, but they actually do feel like this. They actually begin to live like this. And yeah, society still calls them the cuckoos and everything, but you know, one day it's going to be flipped over. It will be flipped over. But what he's saying over here is that we need to like, we need to go into the home of like a typical Jewish family that was living in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. Let's get to know them. What was the table like? Did they have arguments? I'm sure they had arguments. Did they have difficulties with Parnasa? Some Mefarshim, it's interesting. Some Mefarshim say yes and some no, because it's not clear exactly what was going on there. But we're going to go into the heart of like what it was like to function in a very normal and organic way, but with an altered state of consciousness due to the fact that we were living not in an exile mentality. We still don't know what that means. We're trying really hard. Hopefully sometimes when we hit a moment in tefillah, in davening, and the hearts are wide open, we're back there, collectively. Individually, people, Baruch Hashem, we're meeting like refined, amazing people, refined neshamas that are really taking this Gilgul really seriously in a very holy way, in a happy way, doesn't mean seriously, very happy and holy way. You understand, it's cute and sweet, basically. It's still nothing close to this place that we could really get to collectively, okay? So he says like this. Third line in the second to bottom paragraph. המבט הרחב שסוקר את מציאות החיים שקודם הגלות, the wide view, that basically is able to, how do you say, skira? You know when it, like, scan, thank you, like skirat ma'arachot, to scan the reality of life which existed before we went out into exile, ומשווה אותה אל ההתמעטות העצומה שבגלות, and then compares it to who we became when we were exiled. What could it do to us aside from depressing us? יכול לפתוח את אופקי החשיבה. It can broaden our horizons of thinking in ways we could have never imagined before. To what? לציור העתיד הגדול. To illustrate and to visualize the great future that awaits us. המחדש את ימינו כקדם וכתחילה, which is renewing the days of, I mean, he's basically saying this sefer is going to give us the opportunity to have kavana when we say, השיבנו השם אליך חד חדש ימינו Then we all get very emotional and everything. Now we're going to finally understand why we're becoming emotional. Okay? Al ken, therefore, nigash lihitmonen me'at, we're going to go and we'll take a deeper look, a little bit, b'inyan hahon haruchani shaya lano bizman hamikdash. We're going to not for too long, but we're going to take a deep glance into the spiritual fortune. Hon is a fortune. The spiritual fortune that we had in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. Ve'itma'atut hagdola, and the smallness, the tremendous smallness, shel Am Yisrael, me'et asher galinu me'artzeinu, from the time that we were exiled from our country, from our land, ve'nistalka hashchina limromim, and the Shechina, nistalek, that means, what is nistalek?
Uprooted.
Yeah,
And then it goes from
like
here.
just flew away from us up to the heavens. Up to the heavens. So that this is like, he has a mahalach here. You see, the Sefer is, the Shechina, like, nistalka means that it was, like when you tell someone, tistalek mipo, that means get out of here.
Get lost.
Right, get lost. So the Shechina, like basically just went away, just like nistalka. Where did it go to? Lamromim, up in heavens. So this Sefer gives us, he's telling us what we're going to be doing. And he's explaining to us in a way which will make us understand who we are, why we are the way we are, and why it's worth believing that I don't have to be the way I am today. Because that's what a Geula Yid is how they're living. Now Jenny, you had your hand up, and Adina also, you both had your hands up.
You answered my question. Basically, you have to look to the past to see your future potential and understand what you did wrong, which is what you answered.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, we just touched, we brushed upon it, yeah. I mean, I didn't really answer, the next chapter is going to answer that really thoroughly, that inyan.
And then it was a separate idea. I don't know if it's relevant. Like I was looking at Silly Sharon, I told you on Shabbos, and the chapter, the little parak I learned is that, you know, the order in which we stack the Sfar and the prophets, the Talmud, the Chumash, like
Yeah,
it's in a certain seder,
Right.
and it's supposed to remind us that we're
Yeah.
Seder.
Oh,
We're
so
supposed to-
good.
In this generation, we don't.
gewalt.
You know, we think we know more, and we always are trying to learn more and be better. We want our children to be better and know more. But in reality, that is just a physical manifestation of how we're trying to continue to look back and continually try to
Yeah.
glean from the past. So I just thought it was.
It's a very good way, it's a very good way what you're saying, Nachon. That's really good. Adina?
Okay, two things. One thing doesn't feel so relevant anymore, but I remember during Marilyn's Shiva, when she lost her mother.
Yeah.
I remember her sharing this very powerful story of her mother who was in the Holocaust, and she said that the job that she had was to mend the uniform.
Right.
Did she share this here? Oh, okay. So to mend the uniform of the Nazis. And so she was like their seamstress. And I think they only realized after, meaning during the Shiva, that her mother loved, it was like such an honor for her when she would mend her grandchildren's uniform to wear.
Chayalim. Yeah.
And so it was the thought of, she only knew, and I think that could give us so much hope now, meaning,
Big time.
how do we envision what it would be like? We have no idea, but this idea of like, wow, so our grandparents,
Right.
or Marilyn's mother, had she only known when she was sewing the Nazis' uniform, that she'd be later
Yeah.
sewing her grandchildren's army uniform, like, if she only knew, So I feel like that thought process of like of the hope that our grandparents, let's say, were given now,
Mhm.
right? Of the hope that they could have had then, I feel like that feeling could be given to us now.
Nachon.
You know what I'm saying?
Can I add another layer onto that? I'm sorry. The reason that she knew how to sew so well was because she was a Bas Kohen. And she used to darn her father's and her brother's socks so that when they duchen, their socks wouldn't have holes in them. And so I think it goes exactly with what this, right? Meaning the glorious past of how did she learn how to sew was because of being a Bas Kohen and
Right.
doing the beautiful work of like making sure that the Kohanim socks were
Covered.
good during
We
duchening.
covered it, yeah.
Right? And then it went down with being a seamstress for the Nazis, and like that's like Galus, obviously. And Bezat Hashem, like.
You have one more thing? Or you want to say it later? Okay, because I have to, but I told you I'm going to share with you one thing.